Welcome to the Lounge Lizards podcast. It's so good to have you here. It's a leisure and lifestyle podcast founded on our love of premium cigars, as well as whiskey, travel, food, work, and whatever else we feel like getting into. My name is Gizmo. Tonight I'm joined by Rooster, Senator, and Bam Bam. And our plan is to smoke a cigar, drink some non-alcoholic beer, talk about life, and of course, have some laughs. So take this as your 93rd official invitation to join us and become a card-carrying lounge lizard. Plan to meet us here once a week. We're going to smoke a New World cigar tonight, share our thoughts on it, and give you our formal lizard rating. We review CAO history, we recap the Fuente and General lawsuit over the cigar, Rooster heads to Montreal, and Senator goes to the movies, all among a variety of other things for the next 90 minutes. So sit back, get your favorite drink, light up a cigar, and enjoy as we pair both Peroni and Stella Artois 0.0 non-alcoholic beers with the CAO BX3 in Robusto. A Robusto tonight from CAO. It's called the BX3. It's a beautiful 52 ring gauge by 5-inch cigar. A lot of Brazilian tobacco in this, boys. And our first CAO on the pod tonight.
It's a nice looking cigar.
Yeah. We've had a lot of listeners actually request CAO. The Brasilia is very popular, as we know. We see a lot of people smoking that.
Did they request this cigar?
And this was one that a listener specifically requested, was the BX3 Robusto.
It's a must do then.
Yeah. So BX3 stands for Brasilia times 3. So what's cool about this cigar is it has Brazilian tobacco in the wrapper. It is Brazilian. The binder's Brazilian. And the filler is a combination of Brazilian, Honduran, Mexican, and Nicaraguan. So it kind of has a little bit of everything.
Interesting.
That sounds more like B times 2.1, maybe 2.2.
This is a potpourri.
Not quite 3.
Is what this is.
It's not a Puro.
It's not a Puro. It's not a Puro, so it has a little bit of everything in the filler, but we'll see how it is. Let's cut this thing. Dark, oily wrapper on this thing, though,
Yeah.
boys.
Yeah, the wrapper actually does look pretty nice.
Yeah.
Wide open.
Flavor's fine.
Yeah.
On the cold draw.
Pleasant draw.
I don't know what I'm getting on as a note. I don't think I'm getting anything
Not much.
that I want to call out. Classic kind of dried fruit that we say
Classic
on every New
cigar
World
draw.
episode.
I'm getting like raisin and a little mustiness on the cold draw.
I can see the raisin. Liga 9-esque.
See how it is. It has a very ornate band on it.
Yeah, I don't
which
like
we'll talk about. Let's light this thing, boys. The CAO BX3 Robusto. Again, it's 52 ring gauge by 5 inches long. Looks like a well-constructed cigar. We'll see. It's pretty heavy for the size. I mean, there's definitely a lot of tobacco in this thing.
And I'm going to go out and make a prediction. I think we'll like the cigar.
Do you think so?
Yeah, I'm liking that cold draw now.
Okay.
As I think about it.
So I've had these in my tower for, I don't know, 6 or 8 weeks.
Bam's ready to rate the cigar.
No, I'm not. Yeah, let's get it over with.
To Gizmo's point about this being a heavy cigar, this took a while to light. My
It did.
God.
Wow. You need a New World lighter for the New World cigars. These single.
Not all of them.
That's true.
It's nice on the light.
It's interesting. It has like a weird
It's
like a dark chocolate espresso thing, but it's very unique.
I mean, on the cold draw, I was getting like you said, like dried fruit and fig type thing, but
She was accurate.
on the light, yeah, it's dark espresso.
Yeah, like very dark espresso. I think that's exactly right.
Well, this is
It has a very interesting flavor on the front of my palate, though.
quite a full flavored cigar.
Yeah, this is the most robust cigar. CAO, that was the whole thing of the BX3, was it's the Brasilia times 3. It's just the most full cigar with Brazilian tobacco that they've made,
Right.
and that was the intention here.
Are you getting
Great smoke output.
Yeah,
nice
Yeah,
smoke output? Are you
absolutely.
getting any ammonia at all? Like
No,
it's an
I'm
ultra
not.
young.
Not so
No?
far.
I'm not.
Maybe I'm going a tad quick on the draw here.
There's a little bit of a interesting. Is it must? Is it? There's something there that's very
like even
different.
on the cold draw. When I said there was a mustiness, there's like
Metallic.
this weird.
I get a metallic.
Like I want to do
musty
that with my tongue,
flavor
like
that I can't really
kind of.
describe.
Yeah.
The aroma is nice.
Yeah, it smells good at the burn line.
Yes.
It also smells good at the head of the cigar.
Well, the wrapper smells great.
Yeah, I mean, the more I draw on this, I'm getting a lot of just dark cocoa, espresso notes, which I like.
Yeah, like real dark black coffees, rich.
Yeah, like even just smell the aroma. Like I just got a whiff of like Bam smoke, and it's like I'm in a coffee shop right now.
Yeah.
It's not harsh at all, the smoke.
No.
The
And I'm
aroma.
finding the flavor to be pretty smooth right now on the light.
Yeah.
You know,
I
a
mean,
lot of
it's
these,
full flavored, but not full strength so far.
That's
yeah,
true.
But the flavor is full.
Right.
and I think a lot of the New World manufacturers, as we've discussed, they do this thing where they really want to punch you in the face on the light, and then the cigar just
Fizzles out.
falls on its face by
Mhm.
the middle or the last third. But this is a nice opening so far. So 2 other cigars in this line. They have a Gordo, which is a 6x60, and a Toro, which is a 6x52. So I was going to get the Gordo. I know Senator loves those, the 6x60, but I decided
Likes
to
a
go
double
with,
Gordo.
I'll
How
be
about the double Toro?
I'll be missing the next 4 episodes. Jesus.
he's going to be in the hospital.
I just can't imagine. I mean, this honestly, I'm sorry. In strength,
It's,
I think this really leans toward full.
that's
I'm getting
yeah.
more strength the more I smoke this.
Like
and I'm
nicotine strength?
just both. Yeah.
Okay.
Like this cigar, it's full in flavor. We agree on, but I do think there's a little bit of nicotine strength to this. It's making me smoke this slower
Yeah.
than I normally would. Like my mind is telling me, just pace yourself. There's something more there.
Yeah. And I think that nicotine will grow as we go through it.
Yeah, especially as it gets hot.
Oh, yeah.
I'm just surprised because the Brasilia is obviously like their famous cigar, and there's maybe 1 or 2 guys at our lounge here that I see smoking those routinely, and I know they have them in the humidor. I haven't had a Brasilia since, I mean, over 10 years ago probably. I just remember they used to come in random samplers every now and then, or like you get free cigars with your order, and I'd see a Brasilia in there, and I can barely remember what the flavor profile was, but I do remember it being a bit robust, having a little bit of strength. And I was saying that to this guy here who always smokes them. And he was telling me, he's like, no, I find them to be mild, medium at best.
Really?
So then even looking up this just right before we recorded, a lot of people describe this as medium in strength. I think at least early on, there's more than medium strength here.
I agree with you totally. I think too, as I said, just kind of feeling it, looking at it for how dense it is, the draw is great.
Yes.
Just a touch of resistance for me. It's not like wide open. It's just got a little bit. And it's burning wonderfully.
Yep. Made very well.
I mean, it looks like it's made well. And this is a cigar that's under $10.
I was going to ask
Really?
you how much.
Wow.
Under 10. So,
10.
We have a lot of listeners say to us, hey, why don't you guys do more budget cigars? Why don't you do more cigars that are cheap?
Mm.
And I think we do quite a
We-
bit of them.
We've done a
But
lot
we
of
have
them.
more coming up.
We have more coming
That's
up
true.
too, but this is a good example of a cigar that you can find this in almost every humidor. I
Mhm.
mean, this CAO is everywhere.
I've never
Everywhere.
had a CAO before.
Really?
Ever.
I thought you said you've had the Brasilia.
I've never had that.
Really?
I've
It's
made
very,
a
very
conscious,
high end.
I've made a conscious.
You don't smoke this crappy, shitty cigars.
No, I've tried to avoid them, honestly, not knowing anything about it.
We're going to start calling you Bougie Bam.
No.
Bougie Bam.
You know that's not true.
Well, this is the guy who said his first cigar he ever smoked was a Davidoff
Davidoff
Millennium.
Millennium.
That's
the,
a good
the
point.
Pyramid
I
was
mean,
my first cigar.
That's insane.
That's true. That's true.
That's a good point.
Remember, I'm new to the hobby.
When I
compared
started
to you.
smoking cigars, I couldn't afford a Davidoff Millennium.
Okay, so
I was in college.
remember, when my son was born, he's 16, so I've only been smoking cigars for 16 years.
16 years ago,
Rooster's
I was
been
14.
smoking for 47 years.
Hello. How old do you think I am? Jeez.
He had an exclusivo in like 1920.
Every time he says that, he goes back another 20 years. I love it. For the listeners keeping count, next time it'll be 1900.
You get a
That
prize
would
if
make
you
me
get that.
103 years old today.
So CAO says the story of the Brasilia. I don't want to read the whole thing, but the whole idea for BX3 was to take the success of the Brasilia line, as Senator was talking about, to take the tobacco from that, and they said that they wanted to see how far they could take the flavor and how much, as they say, this is one of our call-out quotes, just like Fruity Decadence, exotic intensity
Oh boy.
Oh, look at
they
that.
could pull out of the tobacco while still delivering a balanced profile.
Brazil exotic intensity.
It's a nice.
It's pretty
Are
accurate.
you
Right?
sure he was talking about the cigar?
Ah.
All right.
All right.
All right.
All right.
So yeah, so these cigars come in a really, really decadent box of 20 with CAO logo on top, very colorful BX3, and then under that it says Brasilia ×3.
It's a nice box.
Pretty cool box.
Yeah.
Very colorful.
The box is worth $50.
Yeah, it's very well made too. I don't have it with us tonight, but
Nice.
it's very, very well made. So I don't need to go through the list. I mean, these guys make a ton of cigars.
The thing that's strange to me, I don't know of any other brand that uses Brazilian wrappers, tobacco, Brazilian anything.
Yeah,
I mean, are there others? I've never heard of any
I think
other.
this is the first one.
A lot. I think CAO does a lot of Brazilian stuff.
I think this is the first Brazilian tobacco we've done on the podcast. A listener could call us out, but I don't ever remember calling out Brazilian tobacco.
I don't know if does Abo use some Brazilian tobacco?
Possibly.
I don't know.
Not that I've ever
seen.
heard,
Yeah.
honestly.
I just say that because it's kind of surprising. I mean, obviously there are a number of brands that will have like one kind of limited cigar where they'll do something funky and have tobacco from some like Costa Rica, somewhere that obviously makes tobacco, but is not predominant like Dominican, Nicaragua, some of these other places. So you see that, but I'm just surprised that not only, it's not like they just do this in a limited capacity, like they've built their brand around Brazilian tobacco, which is just surprising to me because no one else really even tries to imitate that.
Yeah. And it's just the wrapper, correct?
All three.
Everything.
So
All
it's
three.
a Puro.
Well, that's why I said it should be the
2.1, the
Brasilia
2.2.
times 2.2.
Oh,
Because
boy.
the filler has a combo of four different
You mentioned
kinds.
that
Yeah,
earlier. Right,
yeah.
right.
What's interesting about this, you just said, you called out how successful the Brasilia is because we see that a lot. Guess how many lines in CAO they have?
Vitolas, you mean?
Not Vitolas, just
lines.
lines of cigars, including like the Brasilia, the BX3, the Flathead, which you guys have
I
seen.
thought 8.
34.
Oh, my God.
Okay, I didn't know that.
I when I was looking at this before we came in today, I can't believe how many cigars these guys make.
Who's buying it?
I mean, you're talking a list of, and this is just,
Look, there are a lot of gas stations out there.
Yeah.
Sorry.
you're like, think about it, they're just a small piece of General Cigars.
Amazing.
And just inside CAO, they have 35 or 34 lines,
Wow.
35 lines, and they keep adding more. But like Senator said, I think this is a cigar you see pop up. You see CAO a lot in like the starter packs, or like the trials, or when you buy something, you get something free. You're always getting a CAO in this, like the Flatheads, the Brasilias, the Americana or the American tobacco one, which I see a lot at retailers, which has like an American flag type design on it.
Smell the aroma out of the foot right now. I'm getting a little bit of like a floral note just out of the smoke. It's like it has changed from the beginning.
Yeah, honestly, it's funny. I'm getting almond and walnut.
Yeah. On the
smoke.
On the drawer or on the smoke?
On the smoke. Yeah.
I'm getting a little bit of kind of all the above.
Yeah.
Honestly, which is very surprising. This is developing more complexity than I would have expected.
And on the retro, it's actually quite nice. I'm surprised.
Yeah.
Cocoa and a lot of coffee on the Retrohaling.
It's like an incense.
The intensity,
Right?
it does push. Yeah.
It
does kind of give you especially in the nose, I think, even when you're smelling the burn line of the foot, like you're getting a very intense experience in the nose.
I can't say that I'm not enjoying this right now.
I kind of am.
Right?
And the thing actually that I appreciate the most about it, this isn't like anything I've smoked before.
Right.
Like the fullness is like not as full as a Padron 90th, but it's like in that like a Liga. It's going for real full, intense, bold flavors.
Yeah.
Very
but
smooth.
the profile is pretty unique.
It's very enjoyable. I mean, I must say, like, there's some $40 cigars that I've had
that don't perform like this.
That don't, perform just like this. And I would take this over those any day.
Yeah, right now.
It's true.
Yeah.
We're only an inch in. We'll see.
I'm just happy that it didn't come out of the gate swinging. And, like we're what, at about quarter of an inch, half an inch. Generally, we have that experience with a cigar, a New World cigar. And then by that half inch, 1 inch mark, its face is in the dirt. And I think that this is kind of building from the start.
Try the Retrohaling on this thing. It is really good. Nutty, coffee.
Oh, wow.
It's really quite nice
Yeah, guys, push it through your nose. It's really nice.
if you do
It's really,
that
really
kind
nice.
of thing.
If I could do that intentionally.
You
It
can't
just
do that?
No, it just I can, but it just happens. It's like so
It's a
bizarre.
subliminal thing with Senator.
It's like amazing. I'm just smoking a cigar. All of a sudden, I'm like, oh wow, that was
I'm in
incredible.
the same boat. I can't really retrohale.
See,
Really?
Yeah. I can't whistle.
It's like
either.
Pavlov's dog, just things happen.
I can't whistle. Senator Rooster goes, I can't whistle either.
But it just happens when I walk down the
Like,
street.
almost like a lot of people can whistle, but I can't whistle.
Well, I think a whistle is a practice of the tongue, the
Mhm.
muscle control.
But retrohale is
This
also
is simply
a practice
closing
of
your
blowing.
mouth and pushing the air out of
No,
the
but it
other
doesn't
set of
come out.
holes.
It
yeah, I'm
comes
telling
out of
you,
my
not
ears.
everybody can do it. I think it's
No.
much easier
I
for
can't. It
people
won't come
who
out.
have smoked cigarettes before. If you've never actually inhaled a product like you do cigarettes, it's much harder.
So I'll give you this.
I've never smoked cigarettes.
I've never smoked cigarettes and I've never smoked weed in my life.
weed once in my life.
I've never inhaled anything
Twice.
intentionally, ever.
Mm-mm.
So that's an interesting point. Like I'm able to push it through my nose.
You can't do it. So the tough thing about it is when I started to do that, because everyone told me you got a retro to get the actual profile and flavor notes of the cigar, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, I would do the retro at the end of the draw. So as I pull it in, not at the beginning, but as I'm pushing the smoke out of my mouth, just capture a little bit, and you just change your exhale to your nose, and it comes right through.
Can I actually see smoke coming out of your nose?
Yeah,
You should be able to.
want to see?
Yeah.
Yeah. We're watching a demonstration of BAM retrohaling. Oh yeah, there you
Oh
go.
yeah, look at that. All
Look
right,
at that.
Gizmo,
At
you're
the end.
next.
You're next.
You do it at the end of the exiting of the smoke. I didn't see it.
I didn't see any smoke.
Oh, I
You're-
pushed it out.
Yeah.
Was it too far? Was the
Do
normal
it slowly. Do it slow. Try to
We-
make rings out of your
We need
nose.
like a bull?
Yeah, only one nostril, please.
Which one, BAM?
First the left, then the right.
Okay, stand by.
Dealer's choice.
It's coming out of your ears. No.
I think I got it. I saw it.
You can't make me laugh while I'm doing
Okay,
it.
sorry.
I do enjoy that part of cigar smoking. I have to admit.
And
really
when you
like it.
find, what I like about it is
Yeah.
it often, for a cigar that's maybe mediocre, like we've talked about so many times,
Mhm.
you have a cigar that's like not great. Sometimes that retrohale is actually what saves it from, like as far as an experience, like
Yeah.
gives you a little bit more than you're getting on the regular draw.
Yeah.
Or the regular exhale of the draw.
I'll do it maybe 4 times per cigar.
Yeah.
3 or 4 times.
Grinder like retrohales every
Draw.
every draw.
That's a lot.
It's a lot. So CAO has been around quite some time. In 1968, the brand was founded by Jono Ozgener, is his name, in Nashville, Tennessee. He grew up in Istanbul, Turkey. So that's a little bit of a different story
What?
than we get.
He's a Turk?
He's a Turk.
Interesting.
On most of the origin stories.
That's not derogatory, by the way.
No, I know.
No, but he is. And why
Wow.
I say that, why I think that's interesting is you don't get those kind of stories in tobacco. Usually it's starting from a Spanish country like Cuba or, Mexico or Dominican Republic or Nicaragua.
A Turkish guy in Tennessee.
Yep. Turkish
Yeah,
guy in
that's a wild
Tennessee
story.
That's
started CAO cigars.
When
and
was
they've been
this?
around forever. And that was in 1968.
okay.
They started with pipe tobacco. He was he liked to modify pipes and produce pipes, and then tried to launch a brand in the 80s. It didn't go well, and then finally had success late 80s, early 90s. And I don't need to go through the whole story, but they were acquired by General Cigar in 2010, and the family left, and that's been the story of CAO since. It's just a very volume heavy brand. For General Cigars.
So he's not affiliated with CAO.
None of the family is affiliated with CAO. He died about 5 years ago. He died in 2018. His kids were involved since the late 90s. I found some articles from Cigar Aficionado where they were talking about CAO as a family business, a family affair, but it seems like they're one of the ones that actually survived and arguably thrived in the cigar boom, where so many of those brands in the 90s kind of came and went, flash in the pan.
Yeah.
They survived on the volume side of it,
Hmm.
producing their tobacco. And
They're
they produce
everywhere.
tobacco from every region, every type of tobacco. Every type of tobacco you can think of, it's in CAO's portfolio. And like we said, what Senator was saying, for Brazilian tobacco, these guys are certainly one of the high volume producers who put out
Right.
tobacco from Brazil.
Was he a blender himself?
I think he started, like I said, as a pipe tobacco guy. I guess he found his footing there, and then they started to read up on how to manufacture cigars. I guess they thought that might be another successful segment of the business. He was thinking that, and he started to play with manufacturing cigars.
I mean, pipe tobacco is very cheap.
Yeah.
You can buy a third of an ounce of pipe tobacco that's decent, and it's under like $8-9.
Yep.
And you can smoke that for a long time, as opposed to a cigar that's like $10. I mean, it's
Rooster, you've smoked pipes, yeah?
I do mostly in the wintertime.
Really?
Yeah.
Even now?
Yeah, in the winter, like occasionally, not like every day.
I've never had a pipe.
I haven't either.
I'd like to try.
So my father-in-law loves pipes, and he loves it because it's a smaller time commitment. So he's able to, instead of, even when you light a Robusto, you know, if you smoke slow like Rooster, it might be 2 hours. For us, it might be 45 minutes or an hour. And that's not a knock. That's just how you smoke. But my father-in-law is kind of in the Rooster camp. So when he sits down and smokes a cigar, it's a time commitment. Whereas the pipe, you can smoke for 15 minutes.
Right.
Well, the pipe, you have to keep, there's really two kinds of tobaccos. You have the aromatics and the non-aromatics. So when you smoke pipes, you really have to keep two different pipes. One for aromatics and one for non-aromatics.
Interesting.
And what is aromatic? Sorry,
aromatic is basically flavored. Non-aromatic is like, your cherry and chocolate and all that stuff. And then the non-aromatics are like Virginia blend and Virginia tobacco and
Gentleman's blend.
Yeah, like Dunhill. I mean,
Okay.
it's just, there's no flavor.
Got it.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like smoking a cigar. Is it like smoking like an acid cigar, which is flavored versus
No. So I've been in rooms where, a proprietor would walk around with his pipe. Honestly, the right flavored tobacco makes a room smell beautiful.
Oh, it smells really
beautiful.
good.
It's beautiful.
It does.
So it's really enjoyable.
When you smoke a pipe, like when you smoke a cigar, you're getting the flavor when you draw in but on the pipe, it's more the external smoke that's coming out of the pipe that you enjoy more than the actual puff.
So you're not tasting as much of what
You're not
we're
tasting
smelling?
as much as what you,
Well, that's a good
At
thing.
least to me. I mean, I could be totally off.
I
but
do think
that's-
that pipe tobacco or smoking a pipe is less offensive to non-smokers around you.
Well, the aromatics.
The aromatics,
Because you have, the flavors of cherry and chocolate, and because they're flavored. So,
Yeah. Interesting. So yeah, CAO, he got some help from the Placencias. We talked about that 2 weeks ago. We did the what was that called?
The Alma Fuerte.
The Alma Fuerte.
The Alma Fuerte. We did the Salamonas, the Generation 5. The Nestor's Placencia was one of the guys who actually helped Jono develop his cigars.
That's cool.
Helped CAO in the 90s. So that was the story. They moved to the United States in 1995 and fully transitioned to the production of cigars. And that's kind of it. Other note I wanted to make too was CAO had partnerships. This is wild. Had partnerships with MLB, NHL, and the NBA Chicago Bulls in the late 90s. Official partnerships featured at the sporting events.
Now, we're sports enthusiasts. I don't remember any of that.
Yeah, and it also shows you what a different time it was 25 years ago.
Oh, yeah. That would never happen.
That would never happen.
You weren't smoking cigars in 95.
That's true.
It's true.
I guess they were smoking cigars in stadiums.
Yeah. But it was official partners of MLB All-Star Game, NHL Hockey All-Star Game, and the NBA
wild.
Chicago Bulls.
That's wild.
This was like the official cigar of the Chicago Bulls.
Interesting.
Which is just crazy to think, like, can you imagine that, like, Steph Curry, like, endorsing, like, Padron cigars or something? Like, it would never happen today.
No.
It would never happen today.
I'm surprised
that's kind of during the boom, like
Yeah.
the early part of the boom.
Yeah. Yeah, mid to late 90s.
I mean, these were the days Michael Jordan was smoking cigars on the team bus on his way to games.
That's right.
Yeah, he'd go play 36 holes, drink, come back, shower, go in the locker room, smoke cigars, and then play a game.
Love it.
It's amazing.
Incredible.
The era of real men. Okay.
That's right.
Didn't he do Lusitanias? Wasn't that his cigar?
He loved, Partagas
right.
Lusitanias. He loved Hoyo Double Coronas is another one he
Mm.
loves. He actually turned Alex Rodriguez onto those, I think.
Really?
But yeah, he loves Cuban cigars, especially Double Coronas.
Nice.
So, boys, this is really pretty damn good.
This is performing beautifully. Very smooth, great flavor.
Yeah.
No rough edges at all.
I keep thinking about the price point, and when you think about a cigar that's under $10 and it delivers this much enjoyment,
Yep.
it's a home run.
Oh, yeah.
And I'm finding that it's kind of flavor-wise, like maybe I'm settling into it, or it's just the way it's been blended. But I feel like it's kind of slowly taking steps forward, which I think is the journey that I like in a cigar.
The flavor profile, I'm thinking, this is a pretty unique flavor profile. It's not potpourri completely. It's not coffee. To me, it's a combination of the two, which makes it very different than any cigar I've had before.
I agree. I mean, the thing I really like, it's just getting more and more complex as you smoke it, which you don't expect from any
That's right.
cigar at that price point.
Definitely not.
So that's a huge surprise. The other thing at this price point, I expected when they talk about a bold cigar, you've got to really age tobacco when you're going for bold flavors so that it doesn't kick you around and it's not harsh or aggressive or
Right.
a nicotine bomb. And this is not harsh or aggressive at
No.
all. I'm
That's
really shocked.
That's a good question. Is there an age? Do we know how many years they've aged their tobacco?
I looked everywhere for it.
Okay.
There is no age statement anywhere about the tobacco in the cigar. Now,
There-
I got to imagine in the filler, at least in the Honduran, Dominican, Nicaraguan, I got to imagine it's at least, a couple
years,
years.
yeah.
I would think. Are you going to put young Nicaraguan tobacco in the middle of a cigar? I would think not, but
I don't think any New World cigars are rolled that fresh. So
Okay.
the tobacco is just aged a little bit longer than a Cuban cigar. So.
Sure.
Any premium New World cigar.
yeah.
Yeah.
This is
Anything
performing.
that's like above $8-10, they have to age the tobacco.
This is performing like that though for me.
Yeah, it is. There's no doubt that this is aged. I mean, I'm
Okay.
not getting any harsh.
Yeah, something is happening on the
On the
on
front.
the tip of my tongue
On the
that you
front.
mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
That it's kind of like a numbing. I don't
Yeah,
know what that is.
There is
right?
something weird there. I don't know
Hmm.
what it is.
I'm not getting that. I was getting maybe I was smoking it too quickly, but a little bit of an ammonia earlier. That's gone. It's absolutely pleasurable, very smooth, very tasty.
Yeah, this is great.
It's shocking, actually.
I read that they actually roll these in Nicaragua.
Mm.
Yes, I believe
And
that's true.
I'm wondering, is that like most of CAO's lines? Do they have them rolled in Nicaragua, or what's the?
I think that that's where their major facilities are.
Okay.
They're a U.S. company, but like Padron, I think they manufacture most of their stuff in Nicaragua. But I mean, they've got to have, I don't know what the numbers are because it's General Cigars. So I think everything's kind of funneled into the story of General now. I don't know how much of their employees and how many people they have working on this, but for how many cigars they must produce, I mean, it's got to be
It's insane.
significant. You're probably talking
Huge
5,000,
operation.
7,000 people.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, at least, right?
I just can't get over it. Look at the ash on it. Look at Bam's. Look at
Great.
mine. This is
We all have
ridiculous at this price point.
Yeah, for $10.
I mean, perfect burn.
It's performing like a Padron
It is.
from the point of view of performance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
the construction's excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent. Let's talk about the band because this band has quite a story right now. So first off, it's very ornate. It's a very colorful rainbow type of flag on it.
It glows in the dark.
Glows in the dark.
It's a little gaudy for my taste.
A little gaudy.
A bit.
Okay. So it has CAO BX3 and a big X in the middle. The other thing I think is cool on the back of this too, boys, which I've never seen on a cigar,
Oh, yeah.
is there's a QR code.
Yeah.
So I've actually started to see this on a number of cigars.
Really?
And I honestly, I don't love it.
I think it takes away.
For me, the problem, what is the purpose? What is the utility of having a QR code?
I think
I
you-
know the brand. I can go to their website.
Yep.
Am I going to scan this code just to go visit their website? I mean,
It
why-
could be
why wouldn't I
something
just-
special, guys. You don't know.
Let's see. Gizmo's going to try it.
Yes.
I can't get it out of the way of the smoke.
You get 2.5% off on your next order.
2.1.
3.1.
I mean, if there is some great utility to it, I'm all for it. But I've yet to experience anything useful out of this, and I just think it looks tacky on the back of the label.
What do you got, Giz?
Does it scan?
It's not scanning because I don't know if it's the smoke.
Can you imagine the day if there are QR codes on Cuban cigars?
Oh, please no.
None of them are going to
None
work.
of them are going to work. You just go to the website and it's like, sorry, we're down.
It would show a restaurant.
Yeah, this is not loading in my with my camera here.
Well, Rooster took the band off and straightened it. Let's
Yeah, see if you
maybe-
can get it on a straight
Is
band,
this
but it's not
user
working.
error, as you like to call it,
capture
Giz?
it. User
It could be, yeah. Very well could be.
Yeah, see, it's not. This is why these are a joke. It doesn't scan on mine either.
No, doesn't.
What's
Does
the
not.
purpose of this?
I think the glossy surface is reflecting light back and it doesn't capture.
I don't know. It ruined that whole segment.
Yeah.
No, it's made my point that I hate seeing these QR codes. I mean, really, what is the utility of them?
I have to say though, if we were, we're drinking a beer with this, if we were drinking a spirit, the experience may be different. I like the beer with the cigar.
So let's talk about it.
I do.
So we've actually had a lot of listeners asking us to do more non-alcoholic pairings. Obviously, Rooster here doesn't drink, so we can include Rooster on these ratings and more of these conversations. So it's nice. So we're actually going to have 2 non-alcoholic beers tonight.
Yeah.
So we're starting, boys, with the Peroni 0.0.
0.0.
Hey, Mambo Italiano.
So I'll start by saying this is not great.
It's not bad.
Initially there was 0 flavor.
But it's
There's still kind of no flavor, but it grows on you a bit. But it's very bland.
I love that. It started with no flavor, and there's now kind of no flavor. It's really evolved.
Yeah, this is not great.
Nah,
It's very light.
extraordinarily light.
I mean, the funny thing is though, when we first poured this and I had it, like Bam said, there was no flavor, but I just didn't get any. It didn't taste at all like Peroni to me. For some reason, as it has sat a bit, now it's starting to taste more like the flavor that you get in Peroni. It's
That's
not
right.
as robust, but
As it warmed up a bit.
yeah.
Yeah.
So if you were having the alcoholic version of Peroni, flavor-wise, is it
I've had a lot of this.
Is it that much more robust than?
So I had this in college when I lived in Italy.
Okay.
We lived on this shit.
Really?
Look at this guy. College, he's drinking Peroni.
Say it. Bougie
He
Bam.
starts with a Davidoff, his first cigar. This is all Bougie Bam.
Bougie
Bam.
I was drinking Natty
I
Light in
haven't
college.
ever had champagne or caviar until this podcast.
Well,
So what are we doing?
I mean,
What are we talking about?
and I was
Beer?
having that when I was a grown man, not in college. But keep going. Let's hear about
I do-
college. Your
no,
maid and
no,
butlers and everyone else
I-
that took care of you.
None of that. I do like this beer, the regular version of it. There's a lot of nice wheat. It's hoppy. It's a nice smooth lager. It's great.
I have not had much of the regular one. I think this is an okay
It's okay.
non-alcoholic. I don't think there's it's missing. I think you were talking about it, Rooster. It's missing a bite.
Well, we drink a lot of IPAs,
Yeah.
like non-alcoholic IPAs, and they have that kick, that bite, and this doesn't. I haven't had this before, so I mean, it's okay. Probably not the best non-alcoholic beers out there, but
Yeah.
it's all right.
Now you've had the Stella that we're about to have too, right?
I haven't had the Stella either.
Oh,
I have.
oh, you have.
I'm actually excited to try the Stella because
I've
I
never
actually
had it.
really
That
like.
tastes more like Stella and
Is
has
that right?
a bit more flavor.
Interesting.
Yeah, one of my favorite ones, like lately, is the Beck's. I love the Beck's.
Does it
Beck's
have more
NA.
flavor than this?
We
Yeah.
did that on the podcast.
Yeah,
I remember that.
We did the Beck's NA.
Beck's, Guinness, Athletic Brewing.
Yeah. Oh,
They're great.
that stuff's great.
Yeah, so these two tonight are like the 5th or 6th non-alcoholic
Yeah.
beers we've done on the pod.
The
Yeah,
thing
I
that's weird about it, it drinks like a light beer, and it's not designed to be a light beer.
No.
I mean, lagers are light, but not this light.
Right.
I don't like the Heineken Zero for some reason.
I agree.
That's my least favorite non-alcoholic beers.
It
Really?
has an aftertaste where it just tastes artificial. It does not taste like real beer.
Yeah, and I feel like they do the most amount of marketing, the Heineken Zero. Even like
sure.
Formula One racing,
Oh yeah.
I mean, there's
It's
just
true.
they
They're
spend a lot of
commercials.
money.
So it's funny you say that. When I was in Singapore before the pandemic, so maybe 2019, actually, yeah, it was late 2019. I was there and they were setting up. I just missed, there was a Formula One race in Singapore. And as I'm walking down the street, there are like Heineken Zero, like reps, literally handing out free, what I thought was beer at first in the streets. And I'm like, oh, this is amazing. I'll take a Heineken. And then I'm looking, I'm like, what does this mean, Heineken Zero? He's like, there's no alcohol. I'm like, no, you can have it back. I just handed him back the can. But they were just passing them out, I mean, by the hundreds in the
Yeah.
streets to people. So their marketing is very serious.
Yeah, they've been spending a lot of money on marketing.
Well, it's definitely a growing segment. We've talked about that previously in the podcast. There's
Oh yeah.
it's you're seeing more of it in liquor stores. You're seeing sections in liquor stores for
Yeah.
NA beer. I know you had a struggle finding it tonight, but
Tonight, for some reason, I called like at least 3 different ones, and they had like 2 or 3 different ones, and that's rare. Normally, they would have like at least 8 or 10, even like a small liquor store. Like Total Wine has a lot. I mean, they have section of an aisle. It's like literally maybe about 1/3 of the aisle is non-alcoholic beers.
Yeah.
Wow.
And they're national. They're a national chain, right? Total Wine.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're huge.
Yeah. Great place to go.
But the only problem is they don't sell cold non-alcoholic beers.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
That they don't want to waste the fridge space on it in their eyes, I guess.
Yeah.
Like there's a liquor store near me, the what's that? Wine Traders. They have a couple of those in the area.
Mhm.
And they have a full 2 doors of their refrigerated beer section dedicated to non-alcoholic beer.
Nice.
Yeah. I don't know if you guys have noticed this, but a lot of liquor stores now, they have a chiller. So you could take like a 6-pack of beer and dunk it in it, and then within 5 minutes, it brings it up to
What?
Really?
Yeah.
Where have you seen this? So I love
Edgewater.
this because
Yeah.
when I lived in DC
my
years
God.
ago,
That's cool.
my favorite wine shop there, Calvert Woodley, for any DC listeners, they have a wine. For years they've had this,
Right.
and it was like the only place I had ever been where you could buy, if you want to buy like an obscure bottle of wine that's not going to be chilled, if it's like a white or a rosé, because it's not super popular, and you have to go somewhere and bring it to someone's house for a party or something like that. You just throw it in their chiller. I do it right when I walked in. I do the rest of my shopping. By the time I was done, I'd come back, pick it out.
Wow.
Yeah,
It was
That's
totally ready
amazing.
to go.
within
That's
5 to 10
awesome.
minutes. Yeah. And it's like cold water, right? It's not
Oh,
ice. It's like
No, but
really,
it's very
really
cold. It would
Yeah.
literally take 5 minutes, and it was
Yeah, it was
perfect.
chilled.
Fantastic.
That's amazing.
It is.
So we'll jump to the Stella in a minute. I want to go back to the cigar for a second and talk about this band because this is actually a callback to an earlier episode. I don't know if you guys remember. We talked about this about a year ago. This is the cigar, and this is the band that Arturo Fuente, sued General Cigar because of the X
Right.
on this band. Because he has a trademark
Sure.
for his Opus X, very successful line for Arturo Fuente, and claims, I guess, that he owns X, the letter X, as far as cigars go,
I
and
see
putting
an
it
X on
on
this.
cigars.
Still see an X.
He
Yep.
owns that alphabet.
He owns the alphabet, but he sued General Cigar purely because of the release of the CAO BX3 band.
And he lost because I'm looking at an X right now.
It hasn't gone to court yet. It hasn't it hasn't
I
happened
see, I
yet.
see.
So this is, I guess, about a year ago. His argument is that he's had this X on cigars for many years. He has a trademark on it, and he's trying to get this X banned from being on
Wow.
the CAO cigars.
Let's see how many taps it takes.
Okay, so Bam's knocking off his
We're
ash.
doing a
Here we
tap
go.
test. Well, all right.
One ash.
I think it's more of an issue for
One tap.
Opus to not have the X. CAO they could put an O on it for it matters. I
Sure.
mean, it doesn't really matter.
That's true.
Who cares about the X? They put a big B on it for Brazil.
Yeah, I mean,
Yep.
I understand Fuente and just anyone that works for and represents the brand being very concerned about the X not being, not taking advantage of the brand equity that they built with that. But I mean, I'm pulling up like an Opus X label on my
Exactly.
phone,
Yeah, it's nothing like
and
it.
there really is nothing in
No.
common.
And
I mean,
do you ever say to someone, "Oh, what are you smoking? An X?" It's like,
Right.
no, you say, "Oh, is that an Opus?"
Right.
You don't
Right.
even. Sometimes I don't even say the X. You
Right.
just say, "Is that an Opus?"
But it is in the name. It's called the Opus X. This is not the CAO X.
Yeah.
That's
Mhm.
the
Right.
Opus X. So you
Right.
relate the X to Opus.
Sure.
yeah, and to your point, exactly, it's a line within the CAO brand.
Yeah.
It's not actually part of the brand.
It's one of
So
36
they're not
lines. that
trying
they
to
have.
like co-opt the brand. It's just what is. So
I'm just
funny?
thinking they could put a bikini top on the bed.
Jesus Christ.
The thing about this for me, and I guess this is part of General Cigar's argument too, is nobody's going to look at this cigar and say, "Oh, that's an Opus X."
No.
Nobody is going to confuse this
Not at all.
for an Arturo Fuente product. Because you're looking for the ornateness of.
Yeah, I think they'd have a more legitimate claim if CAO for some reason didn't put CAO on the band and it just said that X and BX3,
That's a good point.
then sure, people would see that and say like, huh, is that an Opus? Who makes that?
Right.
But they're very transparent. It says right at the top CAO.
I mean, if anything, this is like rainbow colors on the band.
Yeah.
And it could be like an LGBTQ.
It could be.
It could be anything. That's true.
It really could.
You know,
yeah.
and the X on this thing, it's just 2 slash lines, right? The Opus is, like you said, very ornate.
Yeah.
Deliberately designed. It's like night and day.
And you're also talking, this is a $10 cigar, and what Opus is less than 30 or 40?
None.
You know, that's
I have to suspect that lawsuit is just a warning shot to anybody not to try to get too close to or imitate the actual Opus logo.
yeah. So the other thing that the other argument the General has was that they already use an X on a bunch of their cigars, including the CX2, the CAO Extreme, and others.
CX2, we're gonna have to review that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we have to do that. And then General also put out that they were disappointed in this baseless argument from Arturo Fuente because given the legislative and legal hurdles facing the premium cigar category, you know, and products today from the FDA and you know, the United States government trying to over-regulate cigars like we've talked about so many times, that this is just a complete distraction and a waste of resources, you know, for everybody. So we'll see how that ends up. That's about a year now that's kind of been sitting around, but yeah, General's trying to get attorney's fees and everything else.
Sure.
So we'll see what happens. See what happens. This might rate better than the Opus X we did on the pod.
I think it will.
Everybody talks about the Angel Share Opus.
Awful.
Sounds like
that
a
right?
gimmick. It's a
I'm
gimmick.
sorry, I've had it. It's awful.
Really?
It's awful.
I've not had
when
it.
we were at a former lounge of ours, they had it and I bought it. Awful.
Really?
And then one of our friends here who's a member, who's a big Opus guy, also a big Las Calaveras.
HF.
Also a big Las Calaveras guy.
HF.
He gave me a heavily aged Angel Share that he kept for years. That was better. But again, this is my problem with Opus. Like, if you're going to pay a premium price for a New World cigar, it should be aged. It shouldn't need age.
Yeah, I should be able to
we're
smoke
smoking
that
a
now.
$8 cigar that we have no idea how long it's been aged, but by the taste, we know this is aged tobacco.
Yeah.
And that Angel Share, it tastes young and fresh and muddled. Not a cigar I enjoyed.
We should put an Opus band on this and give it to him.
Yeah, see what he thinks. I got to say, I mean, for $10, this cigar is way outperforming
It's really
price.
performing well.
I
It's
agree.
kind
If
of
you told me this
shocking.
was double the price, I would easily believe it.
I'm just surprised how smooth it is halfway through the cigar.
Me
Yeah.
too.
It's just sustaining that smooth experience.
I mean, it's hard to tell, but if you take this, you get a box of this and let it sit for like 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, what does it turn into?
Yeah, it's a good question.
Tell us again how long you've had these in your tower.
These been in my tower for 6 to 8 weeks. This line only
Ooh,
came out a
okay.
year ago.
So these are properly seasoned.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been in probably at 65, 66,
Okay.
going on 6 or 8 weeks now. You know? So, sitting alongside my Padrones and other stuff. So,
Oh, that's what it is.
Yeah.
Osmosis.
Just marinating in those
Damn.
the Padron.
It's not the CAO. It's the marination.
It's sitting next to the 8 caps of Lucy's.
That's exactly right.
it definitely marinates there, baby. So, let's get the Stella going.
Yeah. I'm ready.
I'm gonna chug the rest of my
Your
Peroni Zero.
Hey, you know
Hopefully,
what?
this doesn't hit me too
Hey,
hard
take
later.
it easy
Handle
over there.
it.
There's only 4 of us. We need you on your game.
You'll drive me home, right?
I will.
All right.
So will your car, but
That's true.
That too.
This is premium NA.
premium NA boy. So Garcon is popping all of our bottles as he brought a bottle opener. Very prepared, very kind. So just like normal Stella, the non-alcoholic Stella also has a bottle cap. This is called the Liberté 0.0 from Stella Artois. I'm a big Stella fan. I really like their normal offering of beer.
I do too.
Like when
Yeah.
I'm at a
It's a
bar
great
or
beer.
at a restaurant or
Yeah.
something, I'm often ordering Stella.
They make really cool glasses.
They do. I love their
They're awesome.
glasses.
Oh, the chalice. That's the
Yeah.
best. But that's the Belgian influence. You have to love that. I mean, I told you when I visited Brussels, it's like every beer there has a special glass that these bars stock. It's insane.
That's great dedication
That's so cool.
to the craft.
Oh yeah.
Stemware matters, as we've established.
Yeah. Some of the best beer I've had was in Germany, and don't laugh, the country of Georgia.
Really?
Incredible beer there. Really,
Georgian beer.
Georgian beer.
Tell us about it. What
It was very IPA-esque. It's very hoppy, delicious, smooth, a little fruity, so you can take 4 or 5 down. A lot of alcohol content, but delicious.
You know what beer I love? I think we talked about it the other day. When we were in Cuba, they have that Cristal, it's called.
Oh, dude.
The green bottle. I don't want anything else when I'm in Cuba.
That was our
rum
water substitute.
and Cristal.
I saw a guy this morning. I don't know if you saw this on one of our groups that we're a member of. Post a photo in Cuba, and he said breakfast, and he had a Raz and
Nice.
a Cristal that he had like the bottle, and then it was like poured in a nice glass. And I was like salivating looking at this photo this
That's
morning.
jealousy.
It's
That
a guy
is-
from Canada, I think, right?
I think so. Yeah.
He always posts a picture of he's getting a pedicure. He goes, it's you know what time it is. Like he gets one every time he goes to Cuba. You
Wow.
notice that? See
That's
that?
one thing I've never thought of when I land in Cuba is where
Yeah,
can I
no.
get my toes done?
Nope.
No, he get, yeah.
I've never. So what do you guys think of the Stella 0.0? Liberté.
It's a little bit better.
Yeah, this is
try
definitely
yet.
better than the
I haven't
Peroni.
tried it.
A little
It's
bit.
got a lot of foam.
It'll get better as it warms a bit, I think.
Yeah, I think that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's nice.
Again, it doesn't have the bite that the normal
No.
Stella does,
And
which doesn't have a lot of bite.
and
but
this beer is a bit darker than the Peroni.
pretty good though. I think this is definitely pairing better with the cigar.
What I love about the non-alcoholic beers is how refreshing and easy they are to drink.
Yeah, and they don't sit in your stomach
No.
the same way.
No.
You know, when you have a few beers, you kind of feel that bloat,
Yep.
but
Yep.
it doesn't happen with these.
We didn't do the Brooklyn Lager.
No.
Yeah,
No, we should do
that's the one that I gotta find the right one.
Yeah, Brooklyn makes good beer.
They do. Their summer ale is off the charts. And their IPA is excellent.
Yeah, this is definitely working better with the BX3 for me.
Yeah.
I mean, this is tough because honestly, Bam said he liked the pairing. For me, this cigar is so robust. I would love a spirit with this.
Really. I like that it cleanses my palate with each sip. You know?
You know what I would love with this is rum.
Oh yeah,
I would love rum with this.
Okay.
I think rum would pair very well with the cigar.
Hmm.
But I'm enjoying the NA. And
Yeah.
you know what I like about the NA too is that tomorrow morning I'm going to wake up and I'm going to feel like $1 million.
Exactly right.
You know,
Unless you have a rum chaser later.
which I'm not planning to do. So, boys, we're about halfway here on the CAO BX3. What are you guys thinking?
No issues at all.
Yeah, I'm very
None.
happy.
I'm pleasantly
Yeah.
surprised.
Absolutely.
Same.
Would you say this performed better than your memory of the Brasilia that you had did?
The problem is, honestly, I don't really remember the Brasilia very much. That's why I do want to review it at some point, just because a zillion people
Mhm.
smoke it, and I don't really remember. I just remember it having some strength. That's really, I can't recall the flavor profile, but if it's anything like this, I mean, I'd be very happy. This
Yeah.
is great.
This cigar has a very unique aroma from the foot that you don't get from most cigars.
Yeah, there's definitely something there from the
It's-
Brazilian
yeah,
tobacco.
It's like
It-
I don't know, like a scented floral, not
Yeah.
floral, but like kind of like a weird, like a scent, like perfume.
It's weird. I
Uh,
get that potpourri
Yeah,
and the coffee combo, which
right.
is
I've-
strange.
I feel like there's an element, you know, when you're grinding coffee at home and you brew it right away.
Mm-hmm.
If you grind it yourself and you brew it, that aroma that comes off the machine
That's
while
the
it's
best.
brewing,
That is the best.
there's a hint of that in the aroma coming off the foot here,
Mm.
which I really like. You know, there's definitely a heavy coffee thing going on here.
We always like cigars that are kind of have like those chocolate,
Sure.
coffee, espresso,
Yeah.
dark chocolate notes.
Yeah, this definitely has it
Yeah, this checks
Yeah.
all those boxes.
Yeah.
for $10. Crazy. So, boys, it's a big summer at the movies.
Mm.
And I'm a movie guy. I actually haven't seen any movies. You know, you guys know I've been pretty consumed outside of
Yeah.
outside of work and other things over the last few months. So I actually haven't seen many movies, but I know Senator went to the movies this weekend,
Oh yeah.
which I was surprised to hear. So I wanted to hear what was your review of Oppenheimer?
So I'll have you know that's on deck for this weekend.
Yeah, I'd like to go
I'm
see
going to
that.
see it tomorrow.
Oh,
Are you?
okay.
There you go.
It looks great.
So how
But-
big was the bomb when they dropped it?
The bomb was filled with Pepto-Bismol.
No,
And the entire country they dropped it on turned pink.
Wow.
that was what he went to see
And-
the Brownie Point movies.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
So I'm being facetious.
Brownie points.
Our friend Senator, to the listeners' dismay, we need all of our listeners to sit down right now.
He's the last person I would think you went
That's
to see.
dude. That's why I'm setting
Oh,
it up
my.
like this. Senator went to see Barbie.
Look, when it's Oscar season,
Senator sees Barbie.
when it's Oscar season, I'm going to be nominated for Husband of the Year.
That's right.
All right. And my acting was
Award-winning husband.
excellent during it. But yeah, my wife wanted to see this Barbie movie, which is exploding. I mean, it's insane. It's like breaking
number one,
records for its like opening weekend.
Yeah, it did huge numbers.
They're making crazy money on this movie, but she was very clever in that she said, "Can we please see the Barbie movie? Your favorite Margot Robbie is in it." I mean, how am
she's
I gonna
not wrong.
How am I going to say no to a Margot Robbie movie? So obviously, I said, "Okay, I'm in." What I did not know also going in, and I was so pleasantly surprised during the movie, Will Ferrell's in it, and he plays the CEO of Mattel that made Barbie, the company that came up with it, and he's hysterical, like as good as he's ever been, just perfect for the role. So it's actually, it has several funny moments. I was pleasantly surprised. It's watchable. I expected to sit there bored out of my mind. I also thought it was going to be this like crazy feminist diatribe. It's not. It's very reasonable, tolerable. So yeah, it's actually not bad. So if your wife tries to drag you into it, earn the points and just go. It's really not that bad a movie.
Earn the points, Giz.
I'm good.
You're going to turn down 120 minutes of Margot Robbie on screen, front and center.
Sounds like a colossal mistake.
I mean,
It is an interesting phenomenon with the like the internet's been taken by this whole thing, and then obviously the success of the movie was a surprise to me. I'm surprised it whooped Oppenheimer like big time.
oh yeah, wipe the floor.
as
with it.
far as numbers. And Christopher Nolan movies usually do very, very well, and it did. But comparatively, Barbie wiped the floor with it.
Also, I mean, Mission Impossible just
Yeah.
came out.
Yeah, that got
Indiana
crushed.
Jones movie just came out as
Yep.
well.
Yep,
Unreal.
they both got crushed.
Wow.
I mean, it's just nuts. Like the fact that, I mean, one that I honestly, my wife and I haven't been to a theater to see a movie probably like 2 years.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what surprised me when you said you were going.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I seriously thought you were going to see Oppenheimer. And
No, I mean, that was part of the deal. That's what we're going to see next. But
Yeah.
then, yeah.
I was like very shocked. But, you know, I said, okay, fine. I'll be supportive. I'll go. But in the theater, you expect to be the only guy there. At worst case, 40%. It looked like 50% of the theater there were men, like with their spouses or girlfriends or whatever. And then it was funny because before I went to the movie, Puba sends a photo and a text on our group chat. His dad in Florida got dragged to
That's
see it
right.
with his wife. And
Right.
his dad, now look, I showed up in what I normally wear. Puba's dad is in a photo wearing like a pink shirt in like a Barbie photo booth at the theater. And I was dying laughing. I was like, thank God my wife didn't make me do this.
With a Ken wig.
Yeah, I got to give them credit too. The marketing on this film has
Off the
been
charts.
It's
Incredible.
not by Disney, right?
It's not a Disney
not a
product.
Disney movie.
No, I think it's actually a Mattel thing. You know, I don't know what company produced the film, but
Mhm.
I think Mattel has a significant ownership in the intellectual property of
The
it.
thing I do appreciate, I mean, one, when this came out, I thought this was like a movie for little kids, basically, but it's more geared toward adults.
Yep.
And the thing I do appreciate, given Mattel had clearly a role and influence with this movie, they're very self-deprecating and like own the criticism of like all the flaws of Barbie and how it like fucked up some like young girls into thinking like this is the way every single girl
That's
needs to
right.
look.
Yep.
They completely own that in the movie. So I was actually kind of surprised that
That's
they didn't
nice.
really sugarcoat anything.
But you know, to their credit, I mean, they've done a lot of work to create other types of Barbie
That's true.
of different type of skin color
Yep.
and different type of hair, and you know, they really have tried to kind of be more inclusive of all little girls out there,
Smart.
I guess, that are
Which-
into Barbie.
They reinforce in the movie, and honestly, at first when I started seeing the characters on screen, I was like, okay, this is kind of a woke film of like diversity for diversity's sake. I will give them credit. There's insane diversity in this movie, but every actor, actress played their part perfectly. Like it all made sense, which was very refreshing because I was worried at first that this was just checking a bunch of boxes and half these people were not really fit for the roles, but everybody was actually very good.
That's great.
So what would you have rated the movie?
Oh, so my wife asked me this after. She gave it a 9. She loved it, as every woman loves that movie. Honestly, because it exceeded expectations, I'll give it a 7.
Nice.
7. Okay.
I went in thinking for sure at best it'd be a 5 or a 6, but
Wow.
the Will Ferrell scenes, I audibly laughed several times in the theater. I mean, he is so good in this role. Just that alone, if you don't even see it, just look up eventually when they have clips of him. It's hysterical. But it honestly, it's really not a bad movie.
Love Will Ferrell.
Yeah, he's great,
Love
man.
him.
Oscar worthy.
All right, let's not go that far. Actually, no, I will also say this. Margot Robbie, I thought they just cast her because obviously she's stunningly beautiful. Like,
Yep.
sure,
She
she
has
can
that
play
look.
Barbie.
Yeah.
And I think she's a very good actress, but I don't ever regard her as like one of the greatest like women actresses of all time. I don't hold her in that category. But I will say in that movie, especially the whole movie's about her, she was excellent. Like she really, really did that role justice.
How was Ryan
surprised.
Gosling?
So I was talking to my wife about this. I'm not a big Ryan Gosling fan. There's most of what he's done, I don't think is anything that impressive. In this movie, he was perfect for it because it's just like a dumb guy needs to play that role. And I think he fits that very well.
Oh boy.
So, I mean, it's just, anyone could have played it. Just any like dumb guy with like a blonde wig or something, or blonde hair could have played it. So he didn't hurt the movie. He didn't help the movie. He was just
There.
okay. He was just there.
All right.
So there you go, boys. Senator goes to the movies. Can you believe it?
No.
Like as far as surprising things that you could put on a bingo card that I never thought would hit would be Senator giving us a review of the Barbie movie.
You need to update
I'll just say
the,
this.
Lizard game.
I'll
board
just
game.
say this.
You do.
Go with your wives,
All right.
earn the points, and you're going to sit there and say, this was not bad at all.
Okay.
And trust me, 120 minutes of Margot Robbie, you're not going to
Yeah, that's not terrible.
No, it's not.
Yeah.
I like her in everything she's done.
Didn't Ryan Gosling, the movie got an Oscar? It was a musical.
La La Land.
La La Land.
My wife loves La La Land.
Mm.
She
I
always
hate-
has that
hate
on.
it.
I don't love
fuck
the
that.
film.
I don't like musicals.
Yeah,
Me neither. Like,
neither.
Wow.
that's so sorry. Like Barbie, I could do because Margot Robbie, but I'm not sitting through a fucking musical. That's not going to happen. I'm
Mrs.
not.
Giz, she likes it because she's a dancer
Yeah,
by trade.
exactly.
Right.
And she loves
Yeah.
musical theater.
Yeah,
Makes
and
sense.
every woman loved La La Land.
But
But I'm
we
saying for us, that's not interesting to me.
But that was a movie. I don't know. Here's a good question for you because Oppenheimer obviously is one that I want to see on a very big screen.
Can't wait to see that.
I didn't feel like that about La La Land. We watched it on the couch, whatever. Watched pieces of it. I was on my phone. She loved it.
Yeah.
Barbie, do you think that's one you need to see in the theater like that?
I think Bam needs to see it in the theater,
Ah.
actually.
Do I? Okay.
I mean, and we want a full review.
Yeah, we're going to do a part 2 to this.
That's a no.
So Oppenheimer, something unique about that movie. There's no CGI,
No CG.
and
No.
it's filmed with some special cameras.
Well, it was filmed with the IMAX cameras on actual Kodak film.
So it should be watched in like an IMAX movie
Well,
theater.
yeah, the problem is he filmed it in this what's called 70 millimeter
Right.
IMAX, which I think there's only 11 or 12 of those screens in the country.
Wow.
So to get that theater, I think we'd have to go to New York City. You have to go to a big metro area usually.
Why do that in the first place?
I don't
That's-
know.
that's-
You
So
don't know.
you
You know
can't
how
watch
is.
it in Wayne.
So yeah, if you want to see it at a normal IMAX or a big screen, there is a little
Let's
bit.
just all go in and build ourselves an IMAX theater.
Exactly,
That'd
exactly.
be great.
Where you can smoke cigars.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now we're talking. Now we're
Food,
talking.
cigars, movies.
Mhm.
Yep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, I do want to see Oppenheimer though. I wish
yeah.
that I've seen it already, but because I just love his films, man. I love
Oh, he's
Christopher
awesome.
Nolan films. Like Interstellar is probably one of my favorite films ever.
That is
Yeah,
an incredible
actually,
movie.
Sorry, you mentioned Nolan. So like obviously he did the Dark Knight
Yep.
for a while.
The trilogy, yep.
And I couldn't believe reading this. Apparently the Monday that weekend through Monday that Barbie opened, the record was held by Dark Knight and Barbie beat it.
Wow,
That's insane.
that's amazing.
Yeah.
That is amazing.
It's incredible. And like you said, Rooster, movies like Indiana Jones, storied franchise, Mission Impossible. All those movies are very good.
Yeah.
Both of those kind of flopped.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's odd.
So there you have it, boys. Full review. Thank you, Senator.
My wife also told me that apparently they were considering casting Amy Schumer as
What?
Barbie.
Oh boy.
I told
Jeez.
my wife there is no chance in hell I would have sat through that movie if Amy
No.
Schumer was the star.
I agree.
And it would have flopped. I mean, no guy is going to agree to see that with their wife.
No.
The only reason any guy was sitting in that theater was Margot Robbie.
Exactly
let's be
right.
real.
Yeah. They know what they're doing.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And she knows what she's doing. She produced the movie and basically cast herself as Barbie.
Is that
Is that
true?
right?
Yeah.
Oh, I
Margot
didn't know
Robbie
that.
produced the movie.
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite the payday for her.
Yeah. She's going to do well.
Fantastic.
So not only is she a good actress,
Yeah.
she
Smart
has great
businesswoman.
feet, and she can produce
She's got it all.
the
She's
whole
got it all.
package.
We should have her as a guest on the pod.
Please. Please. Make that happen. With your powers, Giz. Use your powers.
We've already had guests from Australia.
That's true.
She's Australian.
This is
Yeah.
true.
Yeah. I'll call Rob from.
She was
Yeah,
great
might
in
know
Wolf
her.
of Wall Street. Great in that movie.
Yeah, that was a great film.
Oh,
I'm trying to think, what else was she in?
she's in a movie called Amsterdam.
Yep.
It's a period piece. It's on HBO now. Nice, funny, interesting, quirky little movie.
Yeah, she's been in a bunch of stuff.
And don't forget that other character that she plays.
Oh yeah, she plays in the
It's,
Suicide
comic.
Squad.
Yeah.
Begins
And they
with an H. She carries like a bat.
Haley.
I don't remember the
something
name.
like that.
Yeah, there's listeners screaming the name.
Harley.
Harley Quinn.
That's it.
Harley.
Harley Quinn.
And they spun off a film for her just on her own.
Did she
From that, I think.
Did that come out?
A while ago, I think.
I don't remember.
I didn't like her in that. I didn't watch the whole thing.
So are you guys impressed with my
Well, look
how
at Rooster.
fast I'm smoking?
Wow.
Yes.
Rooster's loving
Rooster's
the cigar.
keeping up.
Yeah.
Keeping up. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotta
So, boys, we're in the last third here. Rooster has joined us in the last third.
Yes,
Well,
sir.
You give him 2 non-alcoholic beers and look what happens.
Imagine
gonna
if
be
I had 3.
He's going to be slurring his words soon.
Got to teach you to retrohale next.
This is really damn good, man.
It's awesome.
I got to say, for a $10 cigar, this might be one of the ones that has surprised me. This is a top 5 surprise for me right now.
Now,
Easily.
if you had a party and you gave this out to guests, you know it's a good cigar, but what is the general perception of this cigar out in the world? Do
I think
people
it's
take
too
this
new.
seriously? Do they not look at it as a serious cigar? Is it like a novelty type of a cigar?
I don't see. Here's what I'll say.
The whole market in general, I'm asking about.
I don't
you
see
mean
a lot of
CAO.
people smoking
market
CAO in a lounge. Aside from sometimes there's a couple guys that smoke the Brasilia. I
Mm.
don't see it in lounges.
Neither do I.
But that's a very micro view of the
Yeah.
cigar community. I don't know what people are smoking.
Mhm.
What are people walking into JNR or Total Wine, let's say, and just walking into the humidor and buying cigars? Are they buying these and smoking them on their deck or the golf course? I don't know, but clearly they must be doing something right
Sure.
with the amount of volume they're doing.
I would hand this cigar without the band.
Yeah, see, and there's a reason
And
for
see-
that,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because if you give me a CAO, I already have like a pre-notion that this is
Yeah,
like
Yeah.
I have like a picture in my head that this is what it's gonna smoke like,
right.
and it's nothing like it.
No,
Yeah. Well, I think the other thing that CAO loses on me is I don't feel my perception of their brand, kind of like Ashton, prior to smoking the VSG and understanding a little bit more about their line. CAO doesn't have that kind of good, better, best thing that you think about a Davidoff or a Padron. Padron has the 1000 series, which is in this price range. Then they have the 64 and 26 line, which are the next step up. Then they have Family Reserve, and beyond that with the Hammer that we're doing in a couple weeks for our 100th episode. But this brand, I don't feel like they have those steps of quality that you can kind of see the differences in the three types of cigars they sell. Everything they sell is really budget friendly, which is fine. Obviously, we're seeing that tonight, but I've not seen anything that calls out from a CAO, hey, this is a really high value, high dollar cigar.
Well, I think they need to go through a rebranding. Honestly, if their cigars, if they all perform like this, and
I
they're
don't
this
think
good,
they all do.
I don't know.
You know,
I don't know. But the band on this is a little hokey.
I like it. I don't mind it.
Yeah,
I think
okay.
something simple would be better.
I agree.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll just say, I think Gizmo's point's a really good one that there is no there's no premium version of a
Nope.
CAO cigar. They're
Yeah.
all just kind of sitting at the same very accessible place. And I my perception always with CAO has been like, this is a beginner cigar.
Yep.
Because the only time I would see it was in like some sampler pack or some free, freebies that you get from a cigar, a retailer that you order from. So I've never taken the brand seriously at all, honestly, because of that. But this cigar does not smoke anything like a beginner. Like in fact, I would not give this cigar
I agree.
to a beginner who doesn't actually smoke many cigars at all, because this is a full premium experience that they would not be able to handle or appreciate.
A beginner on a light stomach, having some alcohol with it at a party or something,
That could hit them.
nibbling on hors d'oeuvres or something, not having a meal. I think this might borderline knock them on their ass.
Maybe, yeah. But the smoothness is a little
The
deceptive.
smoothness helps, but the nicotine is going to
Smooth,
get
but
you.
it's still a
is, yeah.
robust
It is
cigar,
robust.
Which
This
is
is not-
intentional in the blend. You know,
Yeah.
this is they're
That's what
trying
makes
to
it
do
great, honestly.
Brasilia times 3.
Yeah.
You know, that's what they're trying to go for, not just in the makeup of the cigar, but also the intensity.
And
That's
it's
what they're
hard to
going
do
for.
that. I mean, we think of so many cigars, like we've talked about Tatuaje plenty of times. And like my big frustration, I honestly, I'm at this point, outside of that little Petit Casadores, I just don't like the brand.
Agreed.
And the reason is they claim they go for these, fuller flavored cigars. And with all of them, you get maybe an inch that is somewhat full, and the rest just fizzles out and is like
It's like a
medium
pepper
at
bomb.
best and is nothing really interesting or exciting. So it's hard to deliver robust, complex flavor all the way through a cigar. How they're doing this at $10 is unheard of.
Yeah.
I mean, there's
Yeah.
very few cigars that are able to do this.
They did this, and Tatuaje can't do this. They just can't
Yeah.
do it.
They could easily sell this cigar with a little better band on this and sell it for 20.
That's
For a
okay.
bit
So
more.
that's
Yeah.
so funny. You're
That's
I
And
agree.
that's why
I
they
mean,
need to go through
and
a
they would-
rebranding, in my opinion.
Yeah.
I think Bam's 100% right about
I
that.
think exactly. I was just going to say what Rooster said. If I'm CAO, you're tasting this cigar as it's coming off the line. It's obviously performing great. Why not introduce this as a next tier of the Brasilia line, like a Padron might do with more aged tobacco, more Brazilian tobacco, however
Yeah.
you want to market it, and elevate your brand and attract smokers who want to be in that, let's say, $13 to $18 range, or even 20, like Rooster
20,
said.
I think. Yeah. That's a
That's-
category, right?
That's a
It's
category.
a step above.
It's a step up from that, call it sub 10 or 10-ish cigar right now.
See, that's exciting. The potential of that idea.
I think it's settled. We're starting a cigar marketing company.
Yeah.
I'm deadly serious.
They really should hire
I'm
us
not
as
even kidding.
consultants.
Honestly,
this
they
is
should
my
hire us.
history.
Tasting and
Like,
marketing.
Oh, yeah.
we're doing it.
Dude, I think it's a home run.
Yeah, and I don't understand why they wouldn't have done that. Why introduce this
I don't
at
know.
a near price point to the Brasilia line?
Yeah.
When you're trying to get so much more out of it, you're certainly going for a more experienced smoker. Like, why not price it and market it that way?
Yeah, and I just think like any product, the consumer wants to be taken on a journey. Like Padron and Davidoff, what they do so well, it's so satisfying when you start smoking those cigars that you maybe start with a 1000 series or a 64 cigar, and then there are all these other things that cost a little bit more, and you're wondering why, and you want to see what kind of flavor it delivers. And same with Davidoff, and even other more accessibly priced cigars have things that are a step up that you can kind of work your way through their line. I think it's disappointing when you don't have that experience. Like even cigars that we've tried randomly, like Warped, we
Yeah.
found a Warped cigar that
The
we liked.
Maestro del Tiempo.
With that cigar, and our friend Henry had clued me into this, there's a version of that Maestro del Tiempo that is made exclusively with Medio Tiempo leaf, which is crazy.
Like
I mean,
like some of the Cohiba stuff.
Cohibas.
That's
I
right.
mean,
Cohiques.
it's like so few cigars ever are made like that.
Yeah.
And it costs more. He's had it. I am pretty sure he gave me one once.
It's
It
a
was
bigger ring gauge, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
Not
Just
huge.
slightly. It's
but
like it's almost like a Mag 46, like a 46 ring gauge or 48 or
48
something. Yeah.
probably. But like that was an excellent cigar. And I was willing to take that journey because I started with what was an incredibly accessibly priced cigar. I mean, that Maestro del Tiempo, it's sub 10, right?
Oh,
It's like $7.
yeah. I think
$8
it
at
was
most.
$8 or $9.
Wow.
Yeah. And so it's like I started there, and then okay, I'm willing to then take the leap to their more
Right.
premium version, and that
Mhm.
was great too. I just think there's a lot of utility in that.
Yeah, I
Agreed.
mean, a brand that kind of comes to mind is, I mean, haven't really tried a lot of his cigars. Rocky Patel.
Yeah.
I mean, he makes a lot of cigars, right? He makes a lot of like
Way too many cigars.
sub like $7, $8, even
Yeah.
$5, $6 cigars maybe.
Yeah.
But then he also has some $20 and some
It's
better
premium cigars.
premium
as well.
cigars
Yeah.
with a better band, and he markets them, and
does.
people do smoke them.
Yeah.
Like the Decade or whatever.
Or the
Yeah, it's
ALR.
ALR.
Age
ALR.
limited and rare.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
And
like
I'm-
a
So
15,
CAO
20
could do the
bucks a
same
cigar.
thing.
I'm looking at their list of cigars. I mean, it's just like their approach is just
Volume.
Hit you with volume.
almost like a New Jersey diner where you sit down and the menu.
Nothing wrong with the New Jersey Diner.
No, but what the
No.
menu is overwhelming in a
It
way.
is.
When-
I'm sorry, on the New Jersey Diner thing, that CAO flathead cigar, I've never smoked one, but I've seen that band. I mean, it looks like an ad. It
Yes.
looks like the logo for a diner.
See,
It does.
It looks shitty. I'm sorry.
And this
Bendix
is why-
Diner on Route 3.
honestly, it looks like a gimmick, and you stay away from those cigars.
Yeah.
And it's a shame because we missed out on this one for so long. The one we're
Honestly,
smoking
their
tonight.
marketing is just terrible.
Oh,
if
yeah.
they could change that, I think there are a lot of people that would take the brand much more seriously.
and I
true.
think as I'm
It's
looking
true.
through what they do here, they do have some other cigars that have the Brazilian tobacco in it. They have all different kinds of tobacco in their cigars. Why not, why not align your range with the different types of tobacco and then create good, better, best, simplify and give your customers a little bit more of a journey.
Mhm.
You go to their website, it's just like, look at it, guys. It's just like,
It's
I mean,
endless.
The
I'm
Chinese
just-
menu.
it is. It's like you go to the Chinese restaurant and there's 700 things and there's no direction as to where to go.
yeah.
When you go to a fine restaurant, there's a selection of a certain number of things and you have a clearer picture of where they're trying to drive you. And I don't think that a brand like this right now, which is a detriment to them because I think they could be killing it with this cigar
I agree.
in the next tier of smoker, the more
Absolutely
experienced
agree,
smoker, they could be reaching for them and they're not.
Yeah.
They should probably kill half of their portfolio
I agree.
Yeah, it's true.
and concentrate on just do maybe a dozen different
Yeah.
and just focus on that and have different tiers.
Yep.
Up their prices a bit.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Because the problem you have too is when you train someone like me or any of us that this is a $10 cigar, this is hard now to jump to 18 because
Yeah.
you've put it in that budget yard cigar type of, even factory seconds are $6 or $8. You're in that kind of range that it's hard to push this to a Padron Exclusivo
but
price.
you could
That's true.
tweak the blend a little bit more, change the band and remarket, like you said,
Yeah.
and just
It'll take
reintroduce
time.
that cigar.
Yeah.
It'll take time to do that, but I think it'll catch.
It could,
Yeah.
especially like you said, if they eliminate
Yeah.
a significant piece of their portfolio, because I've never heard of most of these cigars. But man, I'm loving this cigar right now.
Yeah. It's consistent.
So Rooster, I wanted to ask you because we talked about it 2 weeks ago with Pagoda on the episode with the Almafuerte. He went to Montreal
Right.
and had a great experience in Canada. And you just came back from Toronto, which is obviously a different experience in Canada. What was your experience?
Yeah, I went to Toronto for one of my best friends. I grew up with him through high school. So he actually, went to move to Canada with his family, and his son just got engaged, and they had a beautiful ceremony and stuff at the winery area of Niagara by the lake, overlooking Lake Ontario. We did have cigars there, but in general, in Toronto, you cannot smoke a cigar anywhere. I'm not talking indoors, I'm talking even outdoors. The law in Ontario is you have to be 21 meters, about 30 feet away from any building. Even in the front of your house, sitting outside, a neighbor can complain that that the aroma is offensive, and they can call the authorities on you, and you have to stop smoking. No outdoor parks. There's no cigar lounges. It has to be a private cigar lounge for
This
you
is
to
a living
smoke.
hell.
Yeah,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
is horrible.
Yeah.
But it's a living hell.
But yet, there's a weed store every single corner. Like, how we have nail salons here, like in every block. It's like that. I mean, they're selling cannabis stores every
And
single
they're
block.
smoking weed anywhere.
No, it's the same thing.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
But you do smell it everywhere.
So
they're
where are you
smoking.
expected to smoke?
What's the point of buying a home there? If you can't fucking use your property how you please,
And homes are
I'm going
not
to buy a
cheap.
house, so I have to sit 30 feet from the outside of my own home.
No, you can't.
Just to smoke.
You
That's
have
insane.
to smoke in your home and contain that smoke because your neighbor could report you.
Yeah.
That's pretty much what you
It's
have to do.
insane. It's insane. I mean, I was sitting
Wow.
in an area, it was an outdoor park, and I saw a couple that were smoking a cigar. So I sat about maybe 15 feet away from them and I lit a cigar. And there's this woman sitting behind me, and the wind is not blowing in her direction. And she's at least 15 feet away from me. And I could hear her on the phone having a conversation with her friend, complaining about my cigar smoke that's not going in her direction.
Look at this American
Going
guy
on
smoking
and
a
on and
cigar.
on. And I was like, I kind of felt bad. I'm like, I don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah, it affects your smoking
It
experience.
affects that, right? So she's like, "Oh, this guy is sucking on a cigar, and all the smoke."
This asshole who calls himself Rooster.
Goddamn Americans.
I'm like, the smoke is not even blowing towards you; it's blowing the other direction. Yeah, but yeah, it was insane.
Wow.
Crazy.
That's crazy, man.
Even at the venue, even at the engagement party, it was outdoors at the winery, under a tent. At the end of the event, I brought a lot of cigars, and there was a table. I opened up boxes. I said, "Here
Look
you
at
go,
you.
guys. Anybody want to have a cigar? Light up." And there were at least 15 or 18 guys who grabbed a cigar, and we all had a great time. Then this woman came over. She's like, "Can you guys move literally like the same thing, about 20, 30 feet away from the tent?" I'm like, "This is outdoors. There's a tent. This is a private function."
On a big piece of private property,
that people
right?
have spent a lot of money for.
The
I mean,
winery, it's 120 acres of land. I'm like, what are we affecting your fucking grapes? Like, grapes are going to be infused with the
Can
fucking
you go to the
D4?
woods, please? Smoke
Yeah.
in the woods, will you?
Jeez, that's crazy.
I told you on the last episode we discussed this. I have a friend who doesn't live in Montreal. I think he lives in the Toronto area, somewhere around there. He smokes in his garage. He actually works for a review website, and he obviously smokes a lot of cigars for reviews, way more than even we do. I think they do 5 to 7 a week in review cigars. It's pretty much all he smokes, and he has a private contained office with filtration and smoke eaters. He's still worried about the smoke getting out and someone kind of catching the wind of it, and the authorities coming into his home and shutting him
It
down.
sounds like a communist
It's
country.
insane.
It's crazy.
What?
On top of that, I got a $150 fucking parking ticket. who gives a $150 parking ticket? Yeah, it's like 20 bucks.
they were
30
targeting
bucks.
you once you lit up a cigar on Canadian
Jeez.
soil.
Yeah,
Did
they
you
saw
make
that
a-
New Jersey
Did
plate.
you make the rooster gesture?
No, I ripped the thing right up and put it in the fucking garbage.
Nah. You
There's a
didn't do
warrant
that.
out for his arrest
Yeah.
in Toronto
No, you
right
did
now.
not do that.
Well, there's two for smoking and for the ticket.
You know what I did? I put a different plate on my car before I went there.
My man.
Nice.
James Bond, 007.
Yeah, baby.
Flipping those license plates.
He has a little button in the
Yeah,
inside the
exactly.
Tesla. It rotates the.
Once for a gun.
Have you noticed I don't have a front license plate?
I didn't see that. No.
I got a question for you. How was taking the Tesla to Montreal from here? So what's that?
yeah,
6 hours?
Not.
7
No,
hours?
it's about 400 miles.
Okay.
So it should take you about 7.5 hours if you go straight. So taking the Tesla, I'm glad we took the Tesla as opposed to the other EV, because at least you have the superchargers. And when you map it out, it shows you would have to make 3 stops, about 20 minutes each. But what they don't tell you is once your car reaches 70% charge, and I'm trying to charge 100%, it really slows down. From 70 to 100, it's going to take like an additional maybe 20, 25 minutes to get to the full potential.
Wow.
So that was an issue. So it took a little bit longer. But, I mean, I would probably not do that. Probably take a regular, gasoline combustion car there.
Yeah, I wish you
not
would have
take
told
an
me
EV.
before you went. I mean,
Well, the
as
other-
much as I love Tesla, they're just not built for long road trips.
Well, the other reason why we took the Tesla was because I looked at flights. So the flights were fairly reasonable, but to rent a car for a week, it was $1,500.
Wow.
So I was like,
What?
come on.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah.
How do people deal with this in Canada? This is insane.
Can't smoke
Everything
a
in
cigar.
Canada is ridiculously priced. Alcohol is a fortune. It's like literally double what we pay for anything. Is
alcohol.
What they pay there.
It's not like regular stores. They have these stores that they're called LC something, LCQ or something like that. I mean, they're just like the ABC stores in Florida, and they're the ones who sell it. And you can't really get anything. You can't find anything there.
Wow.
Yeah, it's odd.
So did you go to any cigar shops? I know Pagoda talked
There
about.
aren't any.
Yeah.
I went to the LCDH, which is in the area called Yorkville, which was there last time. So there's a sign LCDH, but it's closed.
Wow.
Yeah.
I guess a combo of the prohibitive laws and the problems that Habanos has had stocking the retailers.
Well, I remember
It's
going
like
to
it's like a death sentence.
I remember going to that LCDH, a few years back when we went there. It was open, and I went in. Beautiful spot, had a bar, couple of employees. So I grabbed a cigar and I was going to light it up and sit down with my friend and have a cigar. And this girl comes over. She goes, "I'm sorry, what are you doing?" I'm like, "Just bought a cigar. I'm going to light it up and sit down, and my friend's going to order a drink." "Oh, no, you can't smoke here." I'm like, "I can't smoke in a cigar store that has a lounge and a bar?" She's like, "No." I'm like, "Okay, so I can smoke. You have benches right outside. Can I smoke there? You have an outdoor area all set up." She's like, no, you can't smoke there either. I'm like, "I can't smoke outside your store."
You're to buy them and just look at them.
and
Look at the cigars.
Just sniff them. She goes, "No, you have to be 30 feet away from the store. So I got to sit like on the street." I should have brought like my own lawn chairs and put it right in the middle of.
You could have brought the Rover with the TV on it and just
This is
set it up in the middle of the street.
I'm like, why is this? She goes, "Oh, because the labor laws. I mean, the employees can't really be around cigar." I'm like, "So why do you work here?
Yeah,
You're
don't work
working at
there.
an LCDH. You're working at a tobacco store. People are gonna light up." She's like, "Well, that's."
I
that
feel
is the
for
law.
every cigar smoker in Toronto after
in
this
Canada
story.
in general.
Yeah,
insane.
it's I feel for you
Montreal
all.
is apparently a little bit more.
The
more
French
lax in the
liberal?
laws.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the Ontario region is like that.
That's crazy.
It is.
I would never survive there. I'm sorry. I mean, I don't know how people do it.
And on top of that, the cigar prices. They're
They're so
insane.
prohibitive.
They're ridiculous.
Are they similar to what Pagoda was saying
Yeah.
in Toronto? Like $80
I mean, my
for Monty
friend
too?
can't order cigars. He has tried to order from the U.S., but the customs and the
Yeah,
duties,
they
once they
pick 'em
catch
off.
the box, they pick them up, or he has to pay. I think I shipped him some cigars and they got confiscated, or he had to like claim and pay customs on it. So which was a box of cigars that's like maybe $200-300. He had to pay an additional $200 on top of that.
Wow. It's like 100%, 150% of wholesale.
Yeah.
I'm just
taxes are
surprised how effective they've been in enforcing this.
That's
That
true.
like everybody follows it. I say this because, like I mentioned, Singapore. Singapore has some of the strictest laws of any country. Right? They have the death penalty if you possess even a tiny bit of marijuana. Literally, the death penalty. You litter, it's like $1,000 fine in Singapore. You can't smoke indoors anywhere in Singapore. It's outlawed. But there is a place where they give you the whole spiel and they tell you can't smoke here. I remember going and buying cigars and I'm like, wait a minute, I'm not going to stand in 100-degree weather to smoke this. I'm only going to buy it if I can smoke it here. The woman says, now that I've told you Singapore law, should you choose, you can follow me to this back room and the sign on
I
it
love
says
it.
employees only. And I'm
Senator
looking
works the magic.
Should you choose?
should you choose? And I follow her. I'm like, either this is going to be great or I'm going to get jumped and like they're going to take all my money. I don't know what's behind this door. This is very sketchy. This whole setup. It's like a very dark place too. And me and the guy that works with me, we go back there. Tons of guys sitting there drinking, smoking.
Oh, man.
And even in Singapore, where they have some of the most intense enforcement, they have ways around it. I can't believe in Toronto that nobody's found a way to just like get around these.
I mean, maybe
ridiculous-
there are some private lounges that I just
Maybe.
don't know about.
I would
possible.
imagine it'd have to be like the setup we have here at 1086, where it's a member lounge club. You can't just walk in off the street. You have to be a member of it, and it's got to be like almost like an island in the middle of a lake or something that
Yeah,
you take
on like
a boat to.
400 acres.
Yeah, you take a
Yeah.
boat to or something.
Or an industrial area like this.
Yeah.
right? Where it's away from residential. It could work. That could work.
I mean, it
Yeah.
just makes no sense to me how.
There are cigar retailers that are in Canada, but they ship to the U.S.
Yeah,
and not sell cigars in Canada.
that's crazy.
because of the tax.
Wow.
Bellhop.
Oh, they don't ship within Canada?
No.
Wow.
Isn't
I didn't
Cuban
know that.
Lou's Canadian as well?
What's that?
Isn't Cuban Lou? Isn't that a Canadian company?
No.
No, they're out of
No.
Sweden, I believe.
Switzerland.
Oh,
Switzerland, yeah.
Way off.
But you
most
look
of
at
them out of
even
Switzerland.
FOH, Rob Isla in Australia, I think most of his business is not Australian business because of Australian tax. Now, their
Yeah.
laws of smoking aren't as crazy, but the taxes on, consumable goods there, I guess vice tax
Wow.
on alcohols,
But their neighbor, New
tobacco.
Zealand, is like that.
Yeah.
It's the worst, some of the worst cigar laws.
My advice to Canadians, I'm sorry, but whoever's the next president of Canada, they need to vet if this person's a cigar smoker because someone's got to change
Yeah,
it.
you need
This
to
is
get a
just-
lizard in up there.
like-
Absolutely.
I get if I don't agree with someone and they want to be restrictive about some of this stuff, but there needs to be some outlet for people to be able to do this in a way that doesn't disturb anyone. And the fact that you can't even do it in your own home, I that's just wild to me.
Yeah.
It's insane. That your neighbor can call the cops on you for smoking a cigar in your own home.
Oh, I'd be in jail. I would be in jail.
Rooster might be the next time he goes there
That's right.
on several counts.
He may never go again.
But, we had an Airbnb. I did light up outside.
Fuck yeah, you did. My man.
This is
Oh,
why
yeah.
we have anonymity on the podcast. People wonder why we have the nicknames. This is why. These are some of the reasons. So, boys, we're coming to the end of our evening here. We had two non-alcoholic pairings, the Peroni 0.0 and the Stella Artois.
Yep.
Liberté 0.0 and the CAO BX3. What are you guys thinking before we give all three of these things a rating?
Overall, a good experience.
I think it was a positive,
Yeah.
really, really good night all around.
Sure.
Look at Bam. His fingers are about to burn.
Mine are
Yeah,
too. Look at
same,
mine.
at this.
Man.
Yeah, you know,
I'm taking it all the way down.
you mentioned the Padron 2000 series in a similar, price point. That was very highly rated in this group. I'm curious where we stand with this guy.
Yeah, and I think
Both performed great. Both were delicious. Very affordable.
and I think that the journey that this took us on from the light to now, it hasn't picked up in a really kind of oomph way.
It's been very consistent.
Very
and
consistent.
smooth.
It stepped up a little bit in the second third and now in the last third,
a
but
touch.
it's not gotten hot, even though I'm down to my fingers. It's not blasting me with nicotine.
It's true.
Like, I'm very, very surprised.
Agreed.
Usually by the end, I have maybe an inch left. Cigars get harsh.
Yeah.
And this is
Even
still
some of the best
smoking
cigars
some
get
of the
harsh.
best
Oh,
That's
yeah.
the thing.
You
Even
know,
good
yeah,
cigars
yeah.
do.
Even
And
some
this
of the best
doesn't.
cigars get harsh down
Yeah.
at this point.
No heat.
Yeah, this has been great. All right, boys, you ready to do the formal non-liquor rating
Sure.
on our drink pairings tonight?
What are we starting with?
We'll start with the Peroni 0.0. Bam, you're up.
I'm giving that a 6.
6. Senator,
5.
5. I'm going to give it a 6 as well. Rooster?
On the Peroni,
Yeah.
5.
Okay. So the formal non-liquor rating on that one is a 5.5, which I think is appropriate.
Sure.
Yeah, I just think for me, the whole point of coming up with a non-alcoholic version of an existing alcoholic beer
Yeah.
is to try to come as close as you possibly can to the alcoholic version.
And a lot of them have.
They have, right? Like Guinness
Yeah.
Zero, almost unrecognized, almost indistinguishable, that and the actual real thing. Some of the athletic brewing IPAs they have drink like real beers with alcohol.
Mhm.
This initially, I would never even guessed it was a Peroni. As it came down and kind of warmed up in temperature, you start to be able to tell it was a Peroni, but it's just so much lighter
Yeah.
than an actual Peroni. It was very unsatisfying.
That's true.
I agree. Are you guys ready to do the Stella Artois Liberté 0.0? Bam, you're up.
It's a little bit better. I'll give it a 7.
Okay. Senator?
I'm also at a 7.
I am as well. Rooster?
Stella, between a 6 and a 7. We'll go with the 7.
Okay. So a flat 7.0 then for the Stella non-alcoholic. So let's look at some of the others that we've done on the podcast. We did several. We did the Beck's non-alcoholic, which is a 7.2 back on episode 57. We did the Athletic Brewing Run Wild IPA, which I know is one that we all reach for
Mm-hmm.
quite regularly, especially with cigars. Episode 69. Funny enough, it was on the Warped Maestro del Tiempo episode we did that one.
Right.
And
was
that
an 8
got
or
a
something.
9.0.
Oh, my goodness.
Yep.
It's great.
It is a good beer.
We also did
Guinness.
The Guinness Draft non-alcoholic
That was delicious.
on episode 57, alongside the Beck's non-alcoholic with the Drew Estate Undercrown Maduro. We gave the Guinness Draft NA an 8.4 and the Beck's NA a 7.2. So the Peroni at a 5.5 and a Stella at a 7.0 kind of align, I think, with the others that we've done on the podcast so far.
Yeah.
It kind of makes a lot of sense.
I think the Peroni's not a recommend and the Stella is a recommend.
Yeah, I think the Beck's kind of edges the Stella.
Yeah, just a little
And
bit.
that kind of makes sense, that rating.
Yeah.
I'm surprised the Guinness were rated so low.
8.4, yeah. And it's not a surprise to me that the Athletic did so well. That is just an excellent.
That beer is better than some IPAs with alcohol.
I totally agree.
In the summer, that is a great drink.
Yeah.
All day, every day.
It's excellent.
Yep.
I love having a cigar with it.
I mean, I know you guys don't like the Sam Adams that much. I kind of like it. I
haven't had it.
enjoy that.
I'd like to try it.
Yeah.
I get a weird aftertaste that really ruins this.
It's
flavor
got a
of
little
cigar for me.
sweeter, like kind of like a wheat beer kind of thing. It's an hazy.
Yeah.
It looks great in the glass.
Yeah.
Just
I
don't
don't
love
know.
the
I
taste.
don't mind it.
All right, boys. It's time to do the formal lizard rating on the CAO BX3 and Robusto. Interested to see how this lands. Rooster, you're up.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I mean, I have not smoked a lot of CAO cigars in general, but this cigar, just right away when we lit the cigar, I was very happy with it. The aroma coming out was robust, full, very flavorful, and till the end, it was just it was a great journey. It didn't really change that much, but it delivered. And especially when you keep the price point in mind, I think it's a great cigar.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it a 9.
My
Wow.
man.
Senator.
This is tough. I'm between an 8 and a 9.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I've been going back and forth on. And the thing is, there are many smokers that I know and imagine this is easily a 9 for. It's anyone who loves a really, really robust, flavorful cigar that's delivered smoothly, has kind of deep cocoa, coffee notes. It checks all those boxes. The only thing for me, I've said this before, I smoke in volume. You know, I smoke a number of cigars in a sitting. I'm not Rooster like 1 or 2 in a sitting and I'm done. I want like 4 or 5 in a sitting and then I'm good.
That's an indictment.
No, it's each their own. I don't say that with any judgment. I'm just saying for me,
Rooster's
I'm
eyebrows
smoking
scowled
more.
a bit.
He knows that. He takes 2 hours to get through a little Petit Corona.
Not today.
Oh, that's true. That's because you were 2 non-alcoholic beers deep, and we know what happens when you have those.
He gets wild.
But because of that, this cigar is not something that I would slot in my rotation when I'm smoking in my usual volume of like a 4 or 5 cigar night. The utility of this cigar for me is if I'm going to have 1 or 2 sticks, this could slot in those moments. So for me, a 9 or a 10 are cigars that would slot very much into my regular rotation. I could see having often. I can't for the reasons I just described. So I'm going to give it an 8. But that doesn't mean there are many smokers that this is deserving of a 9.4, but for my palate and kind of how I prefer to smoke, it's going to get an 8.
So if you were only smoking like 2 in a sitting and this was one of them,
I'd be very satisfied.
Like a Cuban and then this.
Oh,
or-
Yeah, I'd be very happy with that. But that's what I'm saying. Like for my palate, the problem is the number of times I do that is not that often. So I won't pick this up as much because I'm not going to have this if I'm going to have 4
but
or 5
I must
sticks.
say that on a strength scale, it's not that strong. It is
Yeah.
medium. to me.
Initially, it started off.
It's
with
not a Padron 90.
Yeah,
Like that
yeah.
would be a one and
it
done.
leveled out.
This I
after
can
the-
still do
yeah.
a couple of cigars.
True.
You know,
I
in a
agree,
night.
but
That's
my benchmark always, especially for New World cigars, is a Padron Exclusivo in the 64 line. And I could smoke many of those and feel wonderful. There's no problem in a sitting in an evening. I would not smoke 2 of these even in the same sitting, where I would do that with an Exclusivo and have no problem. I've done that. So that's why for my palate, this has just a little too much strength for my regular rotation. but it slots in really nicely when I'm just going to have one or two smokes.
I was probably at an 8, but keeping the price point that under $10
Makes
brought
sense.
it up to 9.
Makes
sure.
sense. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've also been struggling between an 8 and a 9. I think I'm leaning I'm having difficulty. Like I wish I could give it a decimal. I know we can't. But it is something I think that if I was handed this or I walked in a humidor and I saw this cigar, I'd be very happy if I was just smoking one. I just came back from Florida. This is I wasn't smoking a lot of cigars when I was there. If I was running in a humidor and I saw this, I would absolutely grab it as a one and done. To Senator's point, the frequency of that is probably twice a year, maybe 3 times a year, this appearing at all. I don't think this is a cigar that will find its way into my rotation. I do think it might work if you're outside and you don't care and you just want to have a cigar and maybe it's a little windy, but it's not something that I'm going to run and buy. I think there's a lot of listeners who would love it, like big time love this cigar. And I thought it was very good, but I think for those reasons, I'm going to also be at an 8.
Okay.
Bam.
I'm at an 8. An 8 is an elite score.
I
Make
agree.
no mistake, right? It's a great score.
Yeah.
What I found unique is the floral and coffee notes that came together beautifully, very unique. I've never had that experience in a cigar, but I was impressed by the smoothness and the consistency of the cigar. It was really something nice. For the price points, excellent.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. I could be wrong, but I think if this cigar had a Davidoff band on it, all of you would be giving it a 9.
Yeah, so I'll give
I
the
I
disagree
think
band.
it's the
with
CAO.
So let's rate the
the
band.
CAO
Can we rate the
standard.
band?
No.
Because the band,
Well,
I'm giving it a 3.
Here's
I
the
just
thing
hold
I'll
on.
say.
Can I just clarify? Because
Yeah.
Rooster's suggesting that the brand is why we're rating it that. I want to be clear. What would get this a 9 from me is very simple. If this were just turned down in strength a little bit,
For you.
closer to it for me, again,
Right,
for my
right.
palate. I'm not surprised Rooster's a 9. Obviously, you love a 90th. I don't love the 90th. It's too much for me. Again, because I smoke 4 or 5 sticks, I'm not going to slot a 90th. 1 or 2 makes perfect sense. So for me, if this was just toned down in strength a bit, this would get a 9 because I would then smoke this more regularly. But at its current strength and how many cigars I smoke, that's just what precludes it from getting a 9. But I'm not surprised that you would give it a 9 because if you're smoking 1 or 2 sticks in a sitting, this is a great cigar. It's
Yeah.
perfect.
This
If
is
that
right
was-
in his wheelhouse.
Right. And
Yeah.
if that was how I smoked, if I just had 1 or 2 usually in a sitting, this would easily get a 9 for me. But because I don't, I need the cigar just a bit toned down in strength for it to crack my regular daily rotation.
So the other thing I want to say too, because we talked about the Padron 2000 as a cigar that performs well in that same kind of budget range, maybe similar in strength with that Nicaraguan tobacco with a little less age on it than we get
That's right.
with the 6426. It's kind of right in line with that for me,
It is.
with that Padron line. And that's a line that I haven't smoked since we recorded that episode.
What
I haven't
did-
had one of those.
What was the rating on that guy?
So that cigar, so it's the formal Lizard rating on this cigar, the CAO BX3 tonight in Robusto is an 8.3.
Impressive.
great.
That's
That's
impressive.
a great, that's a
Yeah.
That's a
It's a
total
good score.
recommend.
guys. I'll be honest. Do we talk about the brand? I thought we were walking in here tonight,
Oh,
maybe in the 5s.
Yeah,
like
I
I
agree.
was seriously
I think we all
in
felt
that zone.
Because of the brand.
Yes, but
Yeah.
the fact that it got an
Preconceived notion of the
8.3,
brand. Sure.
an 8.3 is really something. So the Padron 2000, actually, boys,
I'm guessing.
7.5.
What?
Yeah. So Rooster gave that a 7, Puba a 7, Senator and I and Bam gave that 8s.
Yeah.
And I think that's appropriate.
Wow.
I think that's appropriate. I haven't picked that cigar up. We did that on episode 25, which, by the way, is almost 70 episodes ago.
Amazing.
I haven't touched that cigar since. I haven't thought about it once.
Yeah, and that's just it. For us in our rotation, these cigars don't usually make it in our weekly, monthly, or even annual smoking effort or time.
Yeah.
But this cigar and that cigar, there's a lot of utility in it. There are a lot of people that would love that. And we love those cigars.
Yeah.
We just don't go for them.
Yeah. For somebody who's starting out and wants a fuller
This is a great cigar.
experience,
Oh,
I think this is great.
This is perfect.
And even if they're not starting out,
Yeah.
And you know what
I
I'd
mean,
love
again, I just said
Yeah.
if this were just toned down in strength a little bit, I'd smoke this regularly.
Hmm.
And if I were like Rooster, a 1 or 2 in a sitting usually, this would easily get a 9 for me.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I'd love to see too is I'd love to see CAO take this line and evolve it. Put out some other Vitolas, put out some more aged or limited type of blends of this tobacco and kind of in this same mindset in a Corona. I can't imagine. Now, that's a cigar that might slot for me. We
Dude,
talked
a
about this.
Lonsdale.
I don't reach for Robustos. I just
Yeah.
don't reach for them, except in the Padron Exclusivo. That's really the one I reach for the most. You guys know this. This is not going to slot over an Exclusivo for me ever, even at $5 more for the Exclusivo. It's just not going to touch that. So if a Corona came out or something, an interesting size, I'd love to see that, because I would give this another shot.
Sure.
Absolutely in a different size.
You know, and our rating, you know, it's a great recommend.
8.3 is brilliant.
Yeah, very strong recommend.
For an under $10 cigar, an 8.3 is really good.
A ton of merit for this cigar.
I'm just personally happy we did this, because I always say this about some of these new worlds that we're not as familiar with. I love that now, if I'm in a cigar shop and I have to buy from them, I can't smoke what I bring in. If I saw this, I know I'm going to be very pleased. I would never have picked up a CAO cigar without trying this.
Yeah, our repertoire is expanding.
The other thing that, going back to our earlier discussion of the bands and Opus X, we have to go back and look at the rating for the Opus X Perfection 888
that was abysmal.
We did that on episode 31. It was a 6.6.
Do you know how much that cigar cost?
$40.
$37.
Yeah.
At the time, I'm sure it's more now.
I'm sure it is.
You know, and this one was recommended by a listener.
Yeah.
Correct.
Which is very cool.
So
very
this is really cool, and this is great, and we definitely encourage that.
Yeah.
For the listeners to, because it's hard for us to just go out and just pick random cigars,
which we don't want to do.
Don't want to do. So we love this.
Yeah. So please, listeners, when you email us with those recommendations, we're going out and getting them, because we're coming up on episode 100. We have a lot of cigars to smoke. So if you can help point us in the right direction, that'd be great.
There's only so many Cuban cigars, and we have done a lot of them. So the new world, there's a lot out there that we don't know about.
So a great pairing tonight, boys. The Peroni 0.0 got a 5.5. The Stella Artois 0.0 Liberté got a 7.0 flat. And this excellent surprise of a CAO cigar, the BX3 and Robusto, got an 8.3. I mean, that's shocking to me. I can't get over it.
And the Barbie movie got a
9. That was a 9, right?
7.
Well, that was in the Senator household. It was a composite 8.
Composite.
Counting Mrs. Senator's score, she gave it a 9.
Oh yeah,
right.
Well, it's a composite in the house would be an 8.
An 8. Yeah. Margot Robbie though 10.
Oh, absolutely a 10.
All right, boys. Great seeing you. Great night tonight. We'll see everybody next week. Hope you enjoyed this episode. Thanks for joining us. You can find our merch store and ratings archive at our brand new website, loungelizardspod.com. That's loungelizardspod.com. Don't forget to leave us a rating and subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. If you have any comments, questions, if you want to reach out, say hello, tell us what you're smoking, email us, hello@loungelizardspod.com. You can also find us on Instagram @loungelizardspod. We really appreciate your time, and we'll see you next week.